Surnames. We've all got one. You've got one, hopefully. But where does it come from and what does it mean? Let's talk about it. JNewtz here, welcome back to the channel. Now before we get going with today's video about surnames, do me a favour, do yourself a favour, and click that subscribe button and ring the great notification bell so that you know every single time that Milton, myself, or Mick upload content to this channel. Okay, let's get on with it. Well, to begin with, a surname is just a name or a title that is given to the end of a person's name. You can't just call yourself Bob, because there's too many Bobs in the world. Bob needed to have another name after Bob. I should stop saying Bob. I mean, what the hell did Bob ever do for me? The word surname derives from the Anglo-French word surnown, which actually comes from the Old French surnome. Sur meaning over and nom meaning name. So basically it's just over name. It is a name that comes over your first name, so it is a surname. Trust the French to make it complicated, so the English simplified it to surname. Of course, you don't have to use the word surname. You can use other words such as last name. What's your last name, please, sir?
Oh yeah, it's Andrews. Andrews.
You've got a last name which is the same as your first name?
No, because my first name is Andrew, and my last name is Andrews. You can't have a person's name called Andrews. That just sounds silly. Otherwise, I'd be Andrews Andrew. Of course, my partner's name is Andrew, so essentially, I am Andrews Andrew.
Another word for surname is cognomen. 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 It's very hard to actually sort of say that in one word English-wise. Cognomen. Well, there you go. You get it. Cognomen. I'll put it on the screen. A few others are matronymic and metronymic. And last of all, there is patronymic.
Okay, almost done. What's your patronymic name, please?
Oh, yeah, it's Smith.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What do you mean you're sorry?
Well, it's just that nobody ever remembers a Smith.
You might be thinking to yourself, JNewtz, why are you giving me all these synonyms? Well, it's important for us to expand our vocabulary, isn't it?
Excuse me, what's a synonym?
Don't be so stupid. Everyone knows is what you put in desserts, cinnamon scrolls and all that stuff. So let's break down where surnames came from. It could have come from a profession that you had, such as blacksmith, which became Smith, or tailor, or miller, or cobbler. I don't think I've actually ever met a cobbler. Hello, I'm Alan Cobbler. I make shoes. Your surname may have been a way of describing a feature of yours, such as brown. Brown eyes, brown hair, brown skin. Not being racist, that's just an actual fact. Although I've never met a brown Mr. Brown before. Or a surname could describe a characteristic of yours, such as Dr. Pratt, who was an asshole. There are several surnames around the world that are very, very common. For example, in Eastern cultures, the most common surname is Wang. So if you're Chinese or somebody of Asian descent, chances are very high that you could be a Wang. 76 million people have the surname Wang. But Wang can also mean a few different things. For example, if you look at the Urban Dictionary, you'll find that Wang could be a very common Chinese or Asian name. 2, an ancient brand of obsolete computers. Or 3, if you live in Britain, it's slang term for penis. So let's put this word Wang into a few basic sentences. In the 1980s, a computer company basically said, learn how to use your Wang in 3 easy sessions. That's okay, my father told me all about the birds and the bees, thank you very much. Another way you can say it is, oh, that guy's got a huge Wang. And if you combine the Asian name with the UK slang name, you find that Mr. Wang has a very small Wang. In Western culture, some of the most common surnames you'll find are Johnson, Brown, and Williams. However, the most common name in Western culture to be found around the world is Smith. Apart from Wales, where the most common surname is Jones. Smith. Could you imagine living in Wales and being in a doctor's surgery? Righty-o, appointment for Mr. George. Oh, that's me, no, me, it's me. I'm Jones, and so is my wife. Where are the Joneses? Where are all the fucking Joneses? If you live in Wales, chances are very high that your last name is Jones. Or Smith. Which basically means either way, you've got 2 of the most boring surnames in Wales. How do you feel now? I really feel sorry for the people who have the last name Smith. It is such a common name, as we discussed. Thomas Edison, one of the greatest inventors of our time, who invented the light bulb. Do you think he'd be as well known and famous if he had the last name Smith? Of course not. Because let's face it, nobody ever remembers a Smith. One of the most interesting and unique names I've ever heard actually did come from Wales, and that surname is Koontz, spelt like this. I'm not making this up. Now, if you're part of the Koontz family, I do apologise because obviously people look at that and think you're a bit of a cunt. However, for one Koontz family, there is a slight variation that has started to slowly spread around the world, and for you, I do feel sorry, because rather than being spelt like this, it is actually spelt like this. There are some surnames which are dying out. For example, Fernsby. Hello, I'm Mr. Fernsby of the Great Fernsbys. Unfortunately, we're dying out. Another name which is dying out is Birdwhistle. Hello, I'm Mr. Birdwhistle. I like ducks. And another one near extinction is Tumblr, because everybody associates that name with free porn. Surnames which have apparently been extinct since 2011 include Spinster, Pussmaid, which is weird, and Piracy. Mr. Piracy, quite an unusual name. How did you get that one then? Well, that's because we live by the sea. Well, I trust that you've learned something there. Maybe you've got a unique surname, or maybe you've got a very common surname. Do me a favour, leave a comment below and let me know what your surname is and where the surname comes from. Is it a surname that's incredibly common, not very common, or is it a surname that is indeed dying out? I'd love to hear from you. Subscribe if you haven't already, ring that notification bell, and I will see you next time. I'm just a little bit confused. If surnames came from a characteristic or a trait of ours, how did Milton White get his name?